Apparently things are not all well at the Conway household, with husband and wife duo Kellyanne and George Conway still apparently not getting along because one of them is loyal to Donald Trump and the other thinks Donald Trump belongs behind bars. And this week, of course, that feud escalated into public, where Kellyanne Conway appeared on Twitter to accuse her own husband of suffering from Trump Derangement Syndrome. So here's what happened. You had conservative writer Drew Holden, who posted a screenshot of articles written by various people, 3 of them, by the way, from George Conway himself, talking about Donald Trump's legal problems and how, of course, the walls were closing in on Donald Trump. And he juxtaposed that with a screenshot of the reports from this week that 2 of the prosecutors working with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office on the Trump case resigned because they believe that the new DA is not really taking this seriously and doesn't exactly want it to move forward. So Kelly Ann Conway retweets this and says, "Excellent thread," and then added the hashtag TDS, which of course stands for Trump Derangement Syndrome. Knowing that in that first tweet she retweeted on that thread, there was an article, not just written by her husband, but that the Washington Post tagged him in the tweet. So she publicly accused her own husband of suffering from Trump Derangement Syndrome. Now listen, I'll get more to that in a second, but let's talk for a moment, I guess, about what's happening in New York, because certainly not a great development for anybody whose name isn't Trump. So yeah, 2 prosecutors resigned because they say that the new DA is not serious about this investigation moving forward, that he may believe that there's not any there. And of course, they admitted they're struggling to get Alan Weisselberg to cooperate. So far, he has not cooperated. So it is very difficult for them to move forward, they say. And they haven't interviewed anybody in front of the grand jury in over a month. And so they said, screw it. We're done. That does not mean the investigation has ended, but it certainly doesn't bode well for that investigation. And sure, it's easy to point at people who had said, oh, this is the beginning of the end for Donald Trump, and laugh at them if you're on that side of the aisle. Now, I've admitted in recent weeks that I've felt more optimistic about these investigations, that it felt like everything was moving forward, and that Trump may end up in prison. Clearly, don't think that way, and I was never all in on that anyway. I tend to regard these things with some skepticism due to the fact that Donald Trump always seems to manage to wriggle his way out of it. I just didn't think it was going to be the actual DA that basically was like, we don't need to move forward with this. But for the Conways, it is personal, right? Kellyanne, obviously former White House counselor, loves Donald Trump. Basically ruined her entire career and a relationship with the rest of her family because of Donald Trump. Because in addition to feuding with her husband now publicly about all of this, her daughter has also called her out. So yeah, not good times in the Conway household. So George, Kellyanne, maybe that's what y'all need to focus on. After all, you do have kids, right? Maybe stop creating such a toxic environment for them. Nobody wants to see their parents fight at home. But more importantly, nobody wants to see their parents fight in public for the entire world to see. It's embarrassing. So how about you work on things at the Conway household rather than worrying about whether or not Trump is or isn't going to jail? At this point, it does seem incredibly unlikely that that is ever going to happen. But nevertheless, probably not the kind of thing you want to end a marriage over or possibly scar your children for life over just because one of you wins and the other loses. Hey everyone, this is Aspen. And did you know that for the low cost of $0 per day, you can subscribe to the Fair and Balanced YouTube channel? We also encourage you to like, comment, and share. But again, click that subscribe button and help Aspen not be so grumpy.